A great believer that we only have one life and we should be passionate about how we spend it. My name's Warren Fahey. I've spent my whole life, I'm in my early 70s now, but I've spent at least 50 something years of my life trying to do something that many people thought was impossible, and that is to identify the Australian character. To see what makes us tick. What are the nuts and bolts that identify us as a unique people in an ever-changing world? For my little part of the world, I started out with an interest in music, and it's led to really a career as a record producer, as an author, and as a performer, where I use Australian, we call them folk songs, but I'm interested in all sorts of songs that tell stories. Because I believe that Australia was really, well, the settled Australia was born in the bush. And it's that tenacity of pioneers that made us who we are. So I first started to go out and tape record people who lived in the bush. Many of them had been born in the 19th century, and get their stories and their songs, because I believe that the songs and stories are signposts to our history. So everything I've done, be it as a producer or a writer or an actor or a singer, has been with this single-minded pursuit, this passion that tries to identify Australians as a unique culture, because there's no doubting it, there's a move for a national, a global culture, mainly American, that swamps us because we're a small population. And one of the ways we fight back is through our cultural expression. Now, I've written quite a lot of books, about 30, most of them published by big name publishers like HarperCollins and the ABC, and they've been my partners in telling these stories. And the books have ranged from history of Australian food to collections of bush songs, books on Banjo Patterson, books on Australian humour at wartime, and my latest book is a book that tells about where I live, because I live in the centre of Sydney in Potts Point, and the surrounding area of Potts Point, and that's where this bookshop is, where I'm talking to you from, is really unique, because the postcode 2011 includes Woolloomooloo down the road, Potts Point and its naughty little sister King's Cross, Elizabeth Bay and Rushcutters Bay. And between them, they tell of the high life, the low life, and sometimes the very low life of Sydney's inner eastern suburbs. What I wanted to do with this book is show how these areas have been an entertainment destination for well over a century. And I think I've achieved that, and I've used old photographs, stories, press clippings, and tried to put them all together so people, especially people who live in the area, but not necessarily, because King's Cross, for example, is known to most Australians as a unique place. Well, it was, it's changing, but all suburbs change, and I try and make that point in the good old bad old days that, you know, we can't stick our head in the sand and ignore change. We have to realise we're part of evolving urban life, but we should also remember and celebrate where suburbs came from. So I've tried to track the Indigenous history, the social history, changes like real estate, food, building architecture, just so people have a pattern of who's come before us, so we know where we're going, really. As far as how I approach writing, I tend to write from passion, emotional history, and you know, I work in a very small genre of history, and I've learnt that the more you focus in, the smaller your area of interest, sometimes the more interesting it is to other people. And you can actually sort of talk about a lot of history, but say you pick one area, like I did in this suburb, and just concentrate on it and get your passion sort of whirling, you find that you can get yourself excited, and that helps to excite readers. So my best tip for people who want to write is to really hone in on the one area that excites you. If you're excited, the reader will be excited.